Hey up troops, it's A Littleton here again with another video, and in this one we're going to be looking at how to counter Misery Guts over here. As he's angry shockingly.
You fucking muppet!
Well, that's rude. How to counter Clash. Somebody mentioned in the comments on a previous video they'd like to see a how to counter Clash video, and I thought, you know what, that's a bloody good idea, so we're going to do it. And here it is. So we're going to look at 3 different categories on how to counter Clash. 1, how any attacker can counter Clash with a melee attack. 2, how a bunch of attackers can counter Clash with frag grenades and various other explosives. And 3, how certain operators use their unique ability or unique utility to deal with Clash as well. Before we get started in all of that, what I will say quickly is, in my opinion, there's one easy way to deal with a Clash, and that's teamwork. When you're one-on-one with a Clash, it's a pretty tough job and you're at a serious disadvantage. If you can work with your teammates and bounce off each other to get different angles, it's going to make it a lot easier. So just remember that. In all of this, easiest way is teamwork. I think that's enough waffling on this one. Let's get stuck into it. Right, then here we are, one-on-one in Clash, a situation that we've probably all found ourselves in. Now, when it comes to the counters, the first thing we're going to look at is the basic melee. Now, melee or melee, I always say melee. When it comes to melee in Clash, she does the same animation every single time. You see how the shield goes round to Clash's right and to our left. If you melee and look from there, obviously you can see it goes round to Clash's right, and from here, it's on Clash's left. So, no matter where you melee Clash's shield, she's always going to swing it round to the right-hand side. So when it comes to melee in Clash, you want to always melee the right-hand side of the shield if you can, because it exposes her entire body on the right side of the shield. If you melee on the left side of the shield, she's still pretty much covered by the entire shield from the left-hand side. So first things first, when it comes to meleeing, always melee the right-hand side. Ideally the bottom if you can. I don't know why, I just feel like the bottom's better, but anywhere else, it's the same animation anywhere you do it. I always do it on the bottom, I don't know why. It's just habit, I think. But yeah, that's the first thing you want to note. Once you've got the shield round to that left-hand side, to Clash's right-hand side, to our left-hand side, so once you've meleeed the right-hand side as we look at it, this is difficult to explain with the left and the right. Once you've got that done, what you then want to do is obviously start firing your weapon. Now, the problem is, especially when it comes to a gun like the R4C with the vertical grip, the ADS time is a lot longer than it used to be. So if I hit the shield and then ADS, you'll see how long it takes. By the time I'm ADS, there's not a lot of time left. There's still a bit of time left, but there's not a lot of time. Bear in mind, the Clash that you're playing against is still going to be moving around and trying to stop you from getting a clear shot. So the first thing to note is, 1, obviously hit the right-hand side of the shield. 2, when it comes to firing as soon as you've hit the shield, make sure you hip fire. Now, I don't want to just... I'll do an example in a second, but make sure you go like this. Oh, I'll do an example here on the wall, right? So you hit the shield, and then you hip fire. Because even then, look how close... and how sort of tightly compacted. That's no good if you're back here, obviously, because it's quite spread out. But when you're this close, the hip fire spread's going to be close enough that most of the bullets are going to hit her anyway. And the other thing to think about is, depending where you hit the shield, I hit it at the bottom, I don't know why, but then you've got to lift your crosshair up, try and get it sort of center mass around a hips area and around a torso area, so there's more chance of you hitting a body. Don't worry about going for a headshot. You're gonna get enough rounds out. Couldn't quite get me words out there. I'm going to get me rounds out, though. Couldn't quite get... You're going to get enough rounds out to kill the Clash before you have to worry about a headshot. If you can, and you can get a headshot in, great. It makes a clip. But trust me, when the Clash is moving around as well, it makes it for a little bit of a nightmare. So, hit right-hand side of the shield and hip fire. I mean, how easy does that look? Obviously, in reality, you're going to have a Clash moving around as well. But that's the first thing to know when it comes to melee. Okay then, so the next most popular way of dealing with Clash and attack is probably going to be grenades. Now, there is a bit of an art to grenading Clash. It's not as easy as it sounds, but just whilst I'm playing Sledge, by the way, let me show you that Sledge's hammer doesn't do any different animation to Clash's shield than just meleeing. It does exactly the same animation, so don't get too excited with the hammer. It just makes it harder to shoot because it takes longer to get your weapon back out, so just stick with the melee if you're playing Sledge. Right then, so when it comes to grenading Clash, just a quick note. The shield will absorb 66% of any damage between Clash and the shield. So if a grenade goes off here, the shield will absorb 66% of that damage. That's the same for Monty as well, by the way. Same with C4s with Monty. So if, let's just say Clash is on 100 HP. I know she starts with 125, but I'm not the best at math, so let's just say she's on 100 HP. If a grenade goes off in front of her here, that shield absorbs 66% of it, therefore dealing 33 damage to Clash. Which isn't bad, is it, really? Tanking a grenade for only 33% health. So, there's a bit of an art to grenading Clash. Now, What you want to do, really, is throw the grenade behind Clash. What Clash will then do, as soon as you pull the pin of the grenade, you'll see the fear in the Clash players' eyes as they start bouncing backwards, trying to find a way to get away from the grenade. It's always quite funny. But what you want to do is you want a grenade behind Clash, obviously. But there's a bit of a trick to it. So, as soon as you throw that grenade behind Clash, what she'll do is she'll start... Generally, what most Clash players will do this is, will start moving backwards. They're not going to move forwards because the weakest place a Clash player can be is right in front of you because you can just melee it. She wants to keep you at that distance so she can start zapping you and keep you further away. Because up close is where she's most vulnerable. So, if you throw the grenade behind, the first thing the Clash player is probably going to do is start moving backwards to try and put the shield between her and the grenade. So let's just say the grenade lands there. What Clash wants to do is move backwards so the grenade goes off in front of her. So, you need to try and stop that from happening. And the way that I tend to try and do that is throw the grenade behind her, but probably further behind you than you think. You know, don't start yeeting it up blue stairs. That's probably a little bit too far. But where you think you want... Ideally, you want the grenade to go off there. Like the distance between her. So what you probably want to do is throw the grenade about here. So as she's moving backwards, cook it a little bit as well. Don't just throw it straight away. Cook it a little bit. And then throw it behind. So as Clash is moving backwards, she moves onto the grenade as it goes off. There's a bit of an art to it, and there's a bit of a way to do it. I'm playing Clash on my other PC here. If I move my mouse over to this PC. So I'm not really going to be able to throw the grenade and move, but I'll try and do an example of what I mean. Move Clash a little bit forward so we've got some space. So you want to throw the grenade, cook it a little bit, throw the grenade there. The Clash then goes... I mean, it's not the best example. I'm trying to use two keyboards, but you get the idea. Clash wants to put the shield like in front of the grenade, so she's behind the grenade. I hope I've explained that well enough. But yeah, throw it behind the Clash. If you can cook it well enough... let me just load up another round here. If you can cook it well enough, and you can get it to go off literally at her feet behind the shield, then by all means do that. However, if you're in an open space and you're under a bit of pressure or something, if you throw it behind the Clash, usually that will do its job as well. So if I just start another round and I'll just show you the cooking the grenade. I'm not going to be anywhere near Clash here, but let's just say the Clash is... let's find an object we can use. This shovel. So if that's the Clash and you want to get the grenade in behind here, obviously you just got to cook it a little bit. They're going to start moving around. Make sure you time it right and get it to explode right behind at that time. That's the other way of grenading it. Okay, so moving on to individual operator gadgets, and we're going to start with Nomad because I think Nomad's probably the most popular way of dealing with a Clash. A Nomad air job. Air job? What on earth is an air job? A Nomad air jab will go off regardless of the shield. So even if a Clash is facing the air jab behind the shield, it's still going to go off. I'll show you that quickly now. You can pop that on the floor, and as long as Clash is in range, down she goes. Don't forget the changes to air jabs, by the way, where if you end up on the floor, you remain prone, as you can see what the Clash is doing now. I just nip onto my other PC quickly and stand back up. So when it comes to playing Clash with Nomad, the trick to what you want to try and do really is just put it on the floor somewhere near the Clash. You got to try and anticipate which way they're going to move, and like I mentioned to you in the previous clip, a decent Clash is always going to want to keep the distance away from you. They don't want to come towards you, especially obviously with the shield out, because you're just going to melee him again. So, what you want to try and do is pin him in a certain area. Let's just say this Clash is defending the bar here. What you want to do is either put... I've only got one air jab left, but I'll try and show you what I mean. So you can either just put it on the floor straight away here, and she's going to get knocked backwards, and you can kill her straight away. Or you want to pin her off from, like, keep her out of the area she wants to go back into. So in Clash's mind here, if I just take control of Clash, what she wants to do really is be holding this area like this, and if she needs to, stand in the doorway and slope back into bar. But you can stop that straight away by playing Nomad just by cutting off that area. So you can see straight away that Clash now knows that air jab's behind her. Super conscious of where she can go behind her, because as soon as she steps into that range, she's going to get nomaded and blown wherever she gets blown to, depending which direction she's walking. So they're the two ways of dealing with her with Nomad. Cut her off from the area she wants to play, or just put it on the floor at her feet, because regardless of the shield, it's still going to work. I would say... Hey, up now. Wasn't fully expecting you to walk this way, Clash. I would say that Nomad individually, in terms of operators and gadgets, is probably the best at dealing with Clash. You saw how easy it was just to pop that on the floor there, and regardless of the shield, she gets sent across the room. So, yeah, if you know you're playing against a Clash, I would say a Nomad is almost imperative to bring. Another operator who's pretty good at dealing with Clash, and he actually uses a very, very similar technique to what Nomad we just used. However, it's Capitao, and what we're going to do is one of two things, exactly the same as Nomad. We can either set fire to the floor that Clash is on at present, or we can set fire to the area behind and push the clash for the melee attack. So depending how you want to do it and depending on the area you're in, you're going to have to make that decision. Obviously, you can just set fire to the floor right underneath it. The only issue with that is the clash will then move backwards probably, and then it'll deal sort of 2 or 3, maybe 4 ticks of damage. I think Capitao's firebolt, I might be wrong here, but I think it's 12 ticks, 12 HP a second or 12 HP a tick. So let's just say she's in there for 3. It's only 36 damage. It's not a massive amount. What I think is a better way of playing Capitao is to set fire to the area behind the clash and then push. Obviously, it depends where you are. If she's in a doorway on, like, piano double up there, you're not just going to walk towards piano double and try and do that. So you just got to think about that slightly and think about how you're going to do it. But another good one is, I mean, it's not the most effective way of doing it, but you can smoke her. She doesn't know where she is, and then you can try and get behind her if you want to. It's not the best way of doing it because, I mean, bear in mind we're dealing with a stationary clash here, whereas if you're playing against an actual clash, they're going to be moving around. They're going to move out of the smoke cloud fairly quickly. Just a quick thing about Capitao. Don't forget, when you first get the bow out, it's always going to be the flames, the Molotov, the fire, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, like I say, if I just take control of clash here and we fire the flames on the floor, this is textually what's going to happen. You can fire that on the floor there, and I move backwards. It's actually a bigger area than you realise with Capitao, isn't it? Like, that is a big area of fire to cover. So just looking on my other PC at the minute, I move backwards with Clash fairly quickly there, and the Clash on the other screen is on 41 HP out of 125. So that's done like 66% damage to the Clash there, which is pretty good going. So yeah, they're the 2 ways of dealing with Capitao. Either put it on the floor straight away so it burns the toes, or put the fire behind, like so. She knows then she can't retreat, and you can push and get the melee off. So we're on to the other flank watch operator now, Gridlock, and again, it's very similar to what we've spoken about with Nomad and Capitao. You can either throw your tracks on the deck immediately in front of it to try and deal some damage, or you can cut off the areas to prevent her escape. Again, it depends where Clash is playing. If Clash is in the doorway like this, you can't throw the tracks behind, so you've just got to think about what you do. Again, a lot of what I'm talking about here is an ideal situation. We're playing against a stationary Clash who's in the middle of a fairly open area, you know, not on a doorway and moving and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of what I'm saying is a perfect world, so you just have to adapt it to the situation that you're in. So when it comes to Gridlock, you can either throw it straight on her feet or throw it behind it. I would say with Gridlock, it's better off going behind, and then it forces the Clash. Again, the Clashes probably want to go behind and move, and then start stepping on these things. Looking down, like trying to find which way she's going, and as you can see, as I'm turning around, trying to make sure I'm not stepping on many, I'm turning around and exposing the side of Clash's body there. If I just stay there on the other PC, you can see there it's wide open to do some damage. So I've just moved around on those spikes there. Clash on the other PC is 55 HP out of 125. So it's done a decent bit of damage again, but ideally what you do, knowing that you're immune to these spikes, I must be wearing some like protective footwear, whilst you're immune to those spikes, that's when you get aggressive on the Clash and push. It's a lot, and again, I know it's a perfect scenario, but it's a lot easier to deal with a Clash in a 1v1 in this situation than if you've got to worry about a Jaeger or a Warden or a Legion up here or in here or down there. You know, that's when it becomes a bit more tricky. So I know this is a perfect scenario, but that's the way I deal with it with Gridlock. We next move on to Thatcher. If you ever get the opportunity to play him in any game of Siege where he's not banned, it'd be nice. And by the way, the L85 with a 2x really hits different. I don't know what it is. I like the L85 on Sledge with a 1.5. But the L85 with a 2x is, I don't know what it is, man. It just feels unreal. But anyway, right, Thatcher, fairly simple with this. If you throw an EMP in the range of Clash and the EMP catches her, it's going to disable her ability to zap for 15 seconds. Doesn't do anything physically, doesn't move the shield out of the way, it just stops Clash from being able to zap, and at that point you can push in. So from the moment this goes off, you've got 15 seconds. I'm on the other PC right now, smashing left click. I can see on the other PC there's something in the bottom left corner that's telling me that the shield is jammed. You've got 15 seconds to push and make a move, however you want to do that. I'll let you make your mind up how you want to push it, but yeah, the EMP stops the ability to zap for 15 seconds exactly. It's a really good way of dealing with it. However, obviously Thatcher's banned a lot of the time, and also a lot of the time when playing Thatcher, these EMPs are used trying to get various breaches open up here or downstairs on the garage breach, which is down here. So yeah, you don't often have EMPs left over to deal with Clash, but if you do, that's how you do it. So we're on to Kali now, or Kali. I don't know if it's Kali or Kali. I always say Cade wrong. Apparently Cade's Kaid, so if I'm saying Kali and it's Kali, let me know, and I'll make sure we say it right. So, as you can see, we've been doing some testing here, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I thought Callie's lance had an effect on Clash's shield. Well, let me tell you right now, it doesn't. I've just tested it. It bounces off the shield, and even if you put it in front of Clash, the shield absorbs it, and it does absolutely nothing to a shield. So I learned something as well. That's why I love doing these videos, because I learn things as we go as well. So the way to deal with Clash is Callie. If you shoot Clash's shield once with Callie's rifle, it does exactly the same animation as a melee. Remember, that's the melee animation. If you shoot with Callie's sniper, it does exactly the same animation. Now, if you're fast enough and you're a little bit on the right-hand side, you can get a second shot off. I'll shoot through Clash's legs to show you what I mean. So you can get a second shot off before the shield comes back. As you saw then, I felt like the first one wasn't quite in time, but that one definitely was. It's difficult to do though, because don't forget, this Clash is not just going to be stood still. You know, she's going to be moving around trying to put a shield in front of you. So Callie is a really good way of countering her, but you need someone else with you, really. It's really difficult to hit a shield once and then get a second shot off. Now we're at the end of the explanation. I am actually going to try this, so I'm going to try and shoot her and then shoot her again while staying on the right-hand side. So you can do it. A little test there, but you've got to be super fast, and you've got to be on the right-hand side, and you've got to hope that the Clash isn't moving. So next we've got Zofia, who does have a way of countering Clash, although much like Callie, it does need the help of a teammate usually. So Zofia's actually got two ways of dealing with this, but before we get on to that, I'm going to use this as an open plea to Ubisoft. Ubisoft, please, can we do something with Zofia's AR? The M762 used to be such a fun gun to use, and now it's like really difficult to use. Can we just make, I'm not saying like put it back to what it was, but can we make it somewhere between what it was and what it is now? Like the R4C's in a good place now with Ash. You've got to be pretty skilled to use it. I quite enjoy it, but this is just like unusable at the minute. But please can we do something, because it used to be so fun. Anyway, it'll also see a reduction in the LMGs that go onto the map. But anyway, moving on. That's not what we're here for. If you're listening, Ubisoft, I'm begging you. Right then, how does Zofia deal with Clash? Two ways. You've got the impacts and you've got the shocks. The impacts, you'll see by the way on Zof's launcher on the right-hand side, on the crosshair type thing, on the gun itself physically, you can see there's a yellow light. When you move to stuns, that goes red. When you move back to impacts, that goes yellow. So you can tell which one you're on by looking at that. You can see the crosshair changes as well. If I put the crosshair on the roof, you see on the impacts, it's got like the spiky bits at the top. Stuns there, not there. It's an easy way of telling. Right, so you've got the impacts. If you impact the floor around Clash, it won't do anything to the shield. So I'll show you an example of that first. Shield stays exactly where it is. Now, if you do, however, you'll do a small amount of damage to her, obviously, but it does nothing to the shield. I just looked on the other PC now, and Clash is on 75 HP. So you've done 50 damage, which, you know, is okay, but it's not the best way of dealing with her, really. Because you only get 2 of them, and even if you fire 2 of them, it's not going to kill her if you hit both. So, when it comes to the impacts, if you hit the shield itself, it will move to the side, just not very much. So it doesn't move to the side anywhere near as much as a melee hit or a Callie shot. Now onto the stuns, we need to move back here because the range of Zof stuns is further than you think. We'll stun. The difficult with stunning is you can't really get your primary out in time before the shield comes back down. It does move the shield to the side exactly like a melee attack did. However, you're going to need a teammate really, because I'll try and show you. We've stunned it. It's really, really difficult to get the gun out on time, so you're going to need a teammate to help you with that, really. I didn't get one shot off there. You can see there's no blood. I'm looking on the other PC. Her health's exactly the same, so it does work. It moves the shield out of the way, but you're going to need a teammate to help. So the final operator that we're going to look at with how to deal with Clash is IQ. Now, IQ has an ability, obviously, to see gadgets through floors. Well, you don't have to see it through floors. You can see it anyway. Now, it doesn't work until Clash actually starts zapping. I think it's probably going to be somewhere here. On the other PC now, I'm starting to zap. I'll just move to there. You can see it. So you can see that's... Hang on, I'm moving the wrong keyboard. It's just really difficult to do it on 2 keyboards. So I'm moving the Clash around. You can see that's where she is. Moving forwards and backwards. You can see that it shows you what it is on the right-hand side of IQ's screen as well, which is such a good buff for that. What you could do is use this information. Look at the way that the shield's facing. You now know that we're behind. I've run out of battery on the shield. Bear with me, please. Oh, hold the line, please. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Right, I got it back now. So we can see that we're above the Clash. Obviously, knowing the shape of the shield, you could probably do some damage from here. It's not the easiest way of dealing with it. I mean, I've looked on the other PC now. We've hit it with 2 or 3 bullets somewhere here. There we go. So again, it's not the easiest way of dealing with it, but IQ definitely does counter Clash. So there we have it. That's different ways to deal with Clash. In my opinion, and I said it at the beginning, the easiest way is teamwork. If you can get up close to a Clash, the melee attack and the shield to the side is so strong, it's almost impossible not to hip fire and kill her at the time. difficult thing, obviously, is getting close to her. Hopefully that can help a few people out, because I know it can be a tricky situation when you're up against the Clash. With the right operators and the right teamwork, I think it's easy done. For those of you that don't know, I also stream on Twitch 4 days a week, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 PM UK time. Come over and say hello, go and follow it, and get involved. Cheers. But other than that, that sums us up for this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.